She's going to have 2 hours on it.
Okay. So my name is Alyssa Larea, and I'm doing an interview with Donald Garlow and Orville Garlow. And can you just tell us what kind of culture you are, what your nationality is?
Native American. I belong to the Oneida tribe.
Okay. And how old are each of you?
The truth.
The truth. Well, how old are you?
Oh, I thought she was asking you.
Well, she's asking us.
Oh, I'm 88.
You're 88?
I'm 69.
Okay. And what city were you born in?
I was born. I had a dream the other day. They said I was born in Rockwood, Illinois.
You weren't. You were born on the Oneida reservation.
But it was a dream. I was supposed to be born on my birth certificate says that Tuscarora County.
Tuscarora
And
County.
that should be on the reservation.
In Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born in Oswego, Canada, on a reservation, but my birth certificate says Brant County,
Okay.
Brantford.
All right. Well, how many siblings do each of you have?
I got 4.
You have 4?
I got 3.
3. All right.
Siblings.
Siblings, sisters and brothers.
Oh, brothers?
Brothers and sisters.
I got 1 brother now.
No, well, back when?
Huh?
How many did you have altogether before everybody died?
There was 10.
10 total?
10 girls and boys.
Perfect. And can you tell us what life was like when you were young living on the reservation? What did the reservation provide to you when you were there, and what was life like living there?
To me, it was no different for myself as far as people were concerned that I knew, when I had a buddy that knew me, we were good buddies.
Mm-hmm.
We would just get along great. Even though I was Indian, he was French. And one time there was some guys come up from Quebec to work on tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
And because the money was good. And the guy said something as we was walking down the street. Fern, my buddy,
mm-hmm.
popped him in the mouth. Because what he said in French,
mm-hmm.
he didn't know that Bouchard could understand French.
Oh, wow.
And he shouldn't have said what he said, I guess.
Oh.
To this day, I don't know what he said.
Didn't say it again either, did he?
Well, what was maybe the stand? Were you poor? Were you more middle class? Where were you?
Oh, I would say on the reservation.
Yeah.
Everybody was poor.
I would say it was poor.
You'd say you were poor? Okay.
Everybody was poor.
Well, my grandfather had 5 farms.
Wow.
But how he got them, people would be dying, and they got no family. Grandma would take care of them until they died, and then they would will their farm to Grandma and Grandpa.
Wow.
So he ended up with 5, and he gave 1 to each of his sons. And I lived in that house where Grandpa gave it to my dad. And I was down there not too long ago. It was 38 acres.
Wow.
And I lived there probably from 5 or 7 till about 12.
Okay.
And I moved back into the city.
Okay. So can you explain then a little bit more about your housing that you lived in, and then maybe what the housing was like years and years ago?
Well, I would be like anybody else and years ago, but our housing was, you put rags in the window to keep the window. The windows would rattle. Jack Frost would be on there, you couldn't see out. In our house, there was an upstairs and a downstairs. And we all lived when we first moved down there, we all didn't live there. The girls couple of the girls moved out, and they stayed in Brantford with my uncle, my mother's brother. And when we never had we had a wood fire, so the wood fire would go out at night, and it would be 20 below or something like that, even 0. And it wasn't a very well-built house, I guess you could say. And because when they put a roof on it and nailed it down, it was a rolled roofing, and the nail would come through into the inside of the house. On the cold days, there would be frost. So when the house warmed up, it would drop. The frost
Like
would turn
raining
to water
inside.
and then drop.
Oh,
I remember that,
rain.
yeah. The outside of the houses, there wasn't no finish on them or anything. They had tar paper on them.
And
Between the boards, and then over the windows, a lot of them didn't have glass, so they would take and put rags over them to block the wind.
Yeah.
we would bank the house with dirt, so the stop some of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
They used to take
And
snow
we
and
used to
shovel it
cut-
up against the house.
I'd
Like an
say
insulator.
a cord of wood, a face cord, maybe a little less every night, and the blizzards or whatever, because we needed the heat, and we didn't know enough to get the wood in the nice weather, so we would donate it in the cold weather.
Freezing cold.
And they used to take the ashes from the stoves and put it in between. There was an outside wall and an inside wall. There's a little like 3 inches in there. They would fill that up with ashes to help insulate the house and block the wind. So as they cleaned out the stoves, they didn't throw the ashes out. They put it in the walls until the walls were full.
Wow. Did it
People
work?
use paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you had.
Yeah. So, can you just explain what longhouses are?
Longhouse, in my day, was a religious place,
Mhm.
and the Indians that believed in the pagan way, they would go there and they would wail, like my aunt and her buddy, Aunt Mac and Lucy would go there, and we'd wait for them outside in the car, and you could hear them screeching, roar, 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 and they wore false faces. You've probably seen some of them in the museum or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they wear false faces there, and they practice their religion there. I never ever went in.
Into the longhouses?
No.
The longhouses that I never was in one, but what was explained to me is way back in the early days, it's always cold in the area where we lived in. So what they did is to get warmth, and everybody would live in this one big long house, and each family had their own campfire. And they would get the heat from that, and then the inside of it would warm up. And then all the families would help each other. So when they went out hunting for food or something like that, it was food for everybody in the longhouse. And everybody would take care of the kids. Everybody just worked together to survive, basically, what they were doing.
And what time period would you say that was from?
Oh gosh, that goes back before, that was all the way back to Joseph Brant. Back before him. That's what I learned on the history that I've been checking on.
Before the 1700s.
Yeah,
Before the 1700s?
yeah, this was way back to the French and American Indian Wars, and back before that, it was just because it's so cold up here. They were originally from New York.
Mm-hmm.
There was 6 tribes called the Iroquois, 6 nations, and they were the first confederacy to anyone ever heard of. And the reason they did that is for self-protection, because other tribes would attack tribes. Well, they had to attack all 6 tribes, and they didn't. None of them got along, but they hung together, and that helped them survive wars and stuff.
Wow. So, can you explain some specific types of food that they had on the reservation?
Some what?
The food?
I could say cornbread and corn soup.
Cornbread and corn soup?
We never made too much corn syrup, or maple syrup, I guess you call it now. was basically, we ate a lot of beans. We ate, and it was
Potatoes.
really good. Just like now, some of the Indians will go a long way to get a bowl of corn soup. Because it's in you, just like something your mother cooked that you really like, and you would, oh, Ma's making this tonight, so we'll go, Ma, save me some, or whatever, you know, and that would be the same with corn soup and cornbread. I was selling cornbread the last time I was down there, loaf like this for $12.
Mm-hmm.
That was Canadian.
And what did you have to do to the bread to make it? What did you have to do to the bread for it to be edible?
Oh, you'd take it, and there were round things like this. You'd take it and you'd slice it, then put a frying pan on the stove and heat it up. Put the slices in there. Then you brought them out of there, and you put butter all over them, melting down the side, and eat it.
Eat it?
Yeah, we used to boil it too.
Yeah.
Put it in boiling water and boil it up and put butter on it and everything. Soften it up, I guess. I don't know.
Mother never really
I've never
took
ate
to any of that.
I could never eat.
Could you tell me what you did for fun as a child? The two different things we would mention.
Well, we rode horses when we could. My grandfather's horses, some of the neighbors' horses we'd ride. Oh, one time, it's kind of funny story. We was in Pete Van Every's place and driving with these great big wide work horses, you know, they're not the skinny ones that every white people ride. And
Clydesdales.
so Ray, my brother, I was on the horse and he was running behind. I want to ride. And then he said, I'm going to go home and tell Mama. Wait. He got up on a fence post, you know, the fence post was half down, and he got springing up like this. He went right over the horse. And then I got off the horse. Here, you can have the horse. You can have the horse. Because Mom was, she would give it to you.
Well, can you tell me what ding balls are?
Ding balls is, like I say, a sock. And just stuff it with other socks or whatever, and tie both ends, and you wind the string around, and then they made a thing with a thing like that, and then you take and you put it on your like a hockey stick, but it's only about this long, and when they throw it at you, you'd reach up and you'd grab it, and you'd run with it. And try to get a goal, of course, or pass it to one of your buddies. But they were whacking at your hand every chance they got, and it wasn't nice, really.
So you said before that it was sort of like lacrosse today, in today's time, right?
Yeah, well, lacrosse is something the same. They whack each other when they get away with it, you know. And my uncle, my dad's brother, he was a world champion lacrosse player in 1932.
Wow.
He was a goalie.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. His name is Uncle Judy.
Uncle Judy?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Uncle,
You can look him up.
Yeah.
And,
He's in the books.
Cool.
Matter of fact, Jason's got a newspaper clipping of him.
Cool. We'll have to look at that.
Yeah, he lived about 98 years old.
They won the
Wow.
championship
He's gone now,
in
isn't he, Orville? Orville?
Atlantic City.
Uncle Judy's gone now, isn't he?
Hmm?
Uncle Judy's not alive now, is he?
I can't hear you, Mother.
He's
Uncle
not
Judy's
alive
dead,
anymore?
isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
He
remember
did
that.
10 years now.
Can you tell me what school was like for you when you were a child?
School, I was never, well, when I was in town, I was standing up in last person and spelling bees and stuff like that. And then when I went down the reservation, I had to wait that many years to start back in there. And I never got to like school after that, because when math would come, I'd be thinking of English is coming, and I don't know English either. so my stomach would be churning. And I quit when I was 13.
So, how old did you have to be to go to school on the reservation?
You had to be 7 years old,
Okay.
and there was no kindergarten.
And how many grades were there?
There was 8 grades in one room.
8 grades, and it was all in one big room?
Yeah,
How many kids would you say would be in one room?
35 or 40, or maybe even 45. There's one guy there, he's kind of dumb, I guess you'd say. His name was Git Git, that means chicken in Indian. Anyway, he was 6 foot tall, and he was standing up there with the 5 years old or 7 years old or whatever it was, you know, and he was reading I am John, I am Mary, I go to school, my name is Peter, I don't go to school or something, I forget how it went. But it was quite a thing to see.
And what did they give you at school every day in a shot glass?
Cod liver oil.
Cod liver oil, they gave it to you about every day?
Well, in the wintertime more than any other time.
Uh-huh. And the teacher there, who was he special? How was he special? Whose brother was he?
Tonto's brother.
He was Tonto's brother?
He married Tonto's sister. Their name was Smith too. Tonto's real name was Harry Smith.
Interesting.
And they called him Silver Heels because he was a runner, he was a real athlete. And when Dad said he was in my dad's time going to school, his dad said when he'd run, all you'd see would be the white of his tennis shoes, the soles of his tennis shoes. So that's how Silver Heels got there.
Yeah, they call him
And
Jay Silver Heels.
I don't know how Jay got there.
I don't know either, but.
So when you were 13, you were done going to school, you went through grade 6, and is that when you began to work?
Yeah.
What was your first job?
My first job was taking grain out of a boxcar, loose grain, and putting it into the thing and then cleaning out the boxcar afterwards. And then I was too young there to load well, they had flour there too, and they bran and whatever. And I couldn't do that there, but then my next job was working in a canning factory. And I used to, I worked there all year, where most people in the canning factory don't work all year. They hire the help to freeze the peas and cut the peaches and stuff, like skin them, whatever. But
what about the tobacco farm?
oh, that was hard work.
How much money did you make working at the tobacco farm?
Well, the best money that they paid my dad and my mom. My dad was a primer, and when I first started, he was a primer and mom was a tire. They'd take 3 leaves of tobacco and have a string. They'd tie that thing, and then
Put it on a piece of lath.
Then flip one over, then tie another one and pull it down. On this side there was a stick with a horse, like a horse with a stick on it.
Mm-hmm.
And she would do 600 of those things a day. And we had to fill 1 kilo with 1,200 sticks and 32 bunches of tobacco in each one. And the primers, after I was a boat driver when I first started, and I would drive the horse. The primers would be in the field. They'd take a horse and like a stone boat. I don't know, you would know a stone boat, but it was a boat. Had runners on it.
It's like a sled.
And they had bags up the side, and then just a framework. Then these primers would come with their, like I told you, from under their arm, the tobacco, and put it in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And when it got full, I would take the boat and drive it up to the kilns where my mother would be tying and
I had
my
the same
sisters
job.
would be handing leaves and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same job each year.
I forget what I made in a day, but it wasn't very much. But it was money that helped buy some of our school clothes and stuff like that.
Your sister had a lot of money. Peggy.
So when you were about 18, 19 years old, you got married. And who did you marry?
My wife, Lila,
And
Dawn, we call her Dawn.
was she Native American or not?
No,
And how did the Native American culture react to that?
the people and my family knew her and was a member of the family. But other people that didn't know her and maybe didn't know me, because you don't know everybody there's 7,000 people on the reservation. I don't know if there still is, maybe more, I don't know.
Probably more now.
But there were 7,000 people on the reservation at that time. And but when they got to know her, some of them didn't want to know her. But Indians weren't allowed to buy liquor and the thing, so they'd come and get Mom. Some of the relatives would want to buy the liquor because she's white, and she
never
did a
bought
few
any.
times, didn't you, Mom?
Huh?
Buy liquor for.
I never bought any liquor.
You never did?
No,
Oh,
no
I
way.
thought you did.
No.
But just like her brother would take carloads of that stuff.
He'd buy them all they wanted,
Yeah.
but not me.
You was there, wasn't you? Uncle Doug's? No?
I'm not sure.
You were, but you were really little. You were
I remember you took me to see Judy
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah, you was there at Uncle Doug's then if you seen Judy.
Yeah, one thing my grandfather told me just after we got married, and we was walking through his apple orchard, and we was talking, all of a sudden he said, "What are you gonna do when the honey wears off?" I don't know, what's he talking about, you know, because we was just married. And I don't know what I said. Do you remember?
No, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah, you were there. You and me and Grandpa was in the
Maybe,
orchard.
but I don't remember.
I don't know, just walking around, I guess, I don't know. But when the honey wears off. Who knows when the honey wears off now?
Has it wore off yet?
No, I think
No,
it's
it
growing.
hasn't.
I think it's growing now.
Could you tell me what birthday celebrations were like when you were a kid?
There were, in our house, there was none,
No celebrations?
no. But Easter, we had a celebration on Easter. Everybody had cracking the eggs and stuff like that. Did you crack eggs?
Yes.
Dad would get a basket, 6-quart basket, I guess is what it was. And Mom would boil up all these eggs. She wouldn't fry any, but she'd boil them all. And then you'd take an egg and put it in your hand. And then another guy like you got your egg, and you'd hit my egg. If you broke my egg, I give you my egg.
Mm-hmm.
If I broke your egg, you give me your egg. And it was fun, I guess. But my uncle from Buffalo, he came over, and he was quite a fella. He was there that one Easter, and when he put his in, he put a knife up his sleeve and put a hollow egg like there, and when they cracked his, I hit the knife instead of I hit the egg, but I had to give you my egg, and I started crying because my egg was knocking everybody else off. And I don't know, just kid game, I guess is what it was.
He taught that game to us. We
Yep.
played it all the time.
All the time.
What happened when both eggs broke?
I don't know if that ever happened.
I don't think it happened.
I don't remember it ever
What he
happening.
did
One
is
of them
he'd take
won.
his egg and he put it in his hand like that, and he would cup it like this, there'd only be that much of the egg sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
Then you had that yours is wide open here. So when you go to hit his is all closed in and couldn't do nothing. You'd crack yours, and he's sitting there eating all these eggs.
Dad won every time.
So, right around the time you got married, you had your son, Don, and then you moved to Michigan. Why did you move to Michigan?
For a job.
For a job? What job did you have when you came to Michigan?
I worked at the Hinkle Flour Mill down in the East Jefferson and basically Woodward. I stayed there for, well, they didn't want to hire me because I was too small. Finally did hire me, and I stayed there for 2.5 years until my bones went over each other. The weight of the thing, there was 40 ton every night, 5 nights a week that I had to. But when I came here, I was making $72 bring home a week. When I was in Canada, the job I had, I was bringing home 35 at that time. But we had money coming out of our pockets when we first came. Then we got Americanized and we got drained like everybody else.
And we had Bruce.
I bought a car, limousine.
Limousine?
Yeah. Do you remember the limousine, Mom?
Kind of, but not too well.
It was a Chrysler, 1932 Chrysler. Paid $35 for it.
You paid $35 for your first car?
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the first car.
Oh, your first car here in Michigan, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it had jump seats in it.
Uh-huh.
It had blinds on the window. Mom would ride in there, pull the blinds down, and want nobody to see her.
It was an ugly home.
And
Made him happy.
I used to drive it to work down at the flour mill until people start stealing my gas because there was just a cap on the thing. There was no lock or anything. So they'd steal my gas. So I pulled into a gas station, quarters worth of gas. One time the whole family came over, my sisters and a whole bunch of us. We went down to Hudson's. My brother, Jerry, he drove the car, and I went and stayed with the company. And then when we was ready to come home, the big sidewalks, I don't know if you ever seen it down there, there was 6 wide, seems like.
6 foot wide.
And so we'd stand by the building and walk out to the curb. No, he ain't coming yet. No, he ain't coming yet. So finally, oh, here he comes. So he pulled up in this 32 Chrysler, and everybody got in. We drove around up to Temple Street, run out of gas, pushed it into the gas station, and give me a quarter's worth of gas.
I had to do that with my kids. Every time I would come home from work, they want to borrow the car, so I would just put in enough gas to get me back to the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
I told them if they borrowed the car, they had to put at least that much back in. His brother didn't do that. I only made it to the corner. I couldn't get to work the next day. I had 2 miles to walk to the gas station.
So do you still visit your reservation today?
He's the only one in my family now that's legal to go over there because of what they did. He got papers and got a sponsor that knew him for basically all his life, and the government let her sponsor him to go into Canada and come back.
Who's this?
You?
Me? No, I got a green card.
Yeah, but you can still go to Canada, right?
Right. Well, I don't know. I'm afraid to go over because they may not let me back because of what's going on.
Well, they'll send your Social Security card money over there. I know that.
Yeah, they'll send us. Yeah, but I got Stephanie here with all her doctors,
Yeah,
so
I know.
I'm afraid to go.
This is home.
Yeah, and then they went and changed the status on our Indian cards, made it next to impossible to get one because they want secured birth certificates. And then the things they want to do with that is I have to have a professional person from Canada, which I haven't lived there since 1952, who knows me. So how do you get these cards? So I got my brother working on it when he's kind of dragging his feet right now.
Who's in charge of that? Is it the American Indian Association or something
Well,
like that?
yeah, it's what it is it's the Native American, I don't know, Indian office.
IDLA they call it.
Yeah, and we used to be able to just go over to the reservation and you show them your blood quantum, you got a band number for your thing, and they have a record of all this. They have a record of all my brother and sister. He's in there. And you apply for your card, they take your picture, you fill out a few papers, and you got a new card. And it lasts for 5 years or something like that. Well, all of a sudden, they changed all the rules. Now we got to send to Ottawa for a birth certificate and then come back into Brantford. And then once we get that, and then we can apply for an Indian card. And it's just, they've made it really hard and really complicated.
It seems like something like that should be good for life. I mean, you're not going to change it being Native American or not.
The two governments don't do that.
Yeah.
Our treaty allows me to come back and forth from Canada to the United States. All Indians can do that if they have this Indian card or green card, either way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the way the law has always been, and now ever since this new administration, everything changed.
Well,
So I
it
don't
blamed on security of the different people that's coming in there, so they're trying to close down to not let the people that killed 9 people in Toronto this week with a van
car, yeah.
and run up on the sidewalk and trying to keep people like that out. But the Native American that's lived here all his life was born here, now they got it so that I can't go across the border without fear of not coming back.
According-
Let me come back.
According to our treaty, which is called the J Treaty, we're allowed to go anywhere in North America. That's Mexico, United States, and Canada. Now, these 3 countries signed that treaty. And now they're making it hard for us to do anything, just like they always have in the past, I guess. And change it.
Yeah, we can go over, but we might not get back.
And even though I'm married to an American citizen, they just seem to forget that.
Well, can you tell me a little bit about some of the rituals that you do, the powwows, dancing, music, the instruments, like those sort of things, and what they're like when you go to anything like that? And do they have them here in the United States?
You want to say it or you want me to?
Well, most instruments that they have is drums.
Mm-hmm.
They have mostly drums, and they have once we go to over in Canada, my reservation, they build like a shack with put stuff so the drummers can sit there and they drum all day long. And then the Indians come out and they have contests for